Welcome to Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, with your host, Steve Garrett, lifetime member of the National Corvette Museum, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 45 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, and the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call them at 833-840-5334. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play the podcast called Corvette Today," and you're connected. And be sure to visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteToday.com. You can access everything there, including the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also join our Corvette Today Facebook group there as well. Also, make sure you sign up for the Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at CorvetteToday.ck.page. And if you like YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our Corvette Today YouTube channel. See all Corvette Today episodes on YouTube as well. And be sure to patronize our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. Soul Performance Products. Developed and manufactured in the United States, the Soul Performance Products exhaust portfolio has been tailored to elevate the experience of the world's most exciting sports cars, including the latest generation of the Corvette. Soul Performance Products at SOULPP.com, the official performance exhaust of Corvette Today. C8 Rally Driver is the one-stop shop for your C8 Corvette. Choose from custom-designed trunk and front covers, Z06 engine builder CNC plaques, customized wind restrictors, fluid caps, strut covers, rear hatch supports, and more. Everything is uniquely designed to provide you with custom accessories for your C8 Corvette. Visit their website at C8RallyDriver.com and let your imagination run wild. That's C8RallyDriver.com. Aerolarri Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an amazing value, starting at only $23.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT111 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit Aerolarri.com. That's AEROLARRI.com. And use the promo code CT111 for your $100 discount. C8 Corvettes. If you're a Corvette enthusiast, and I know you are since you're listening and watching Corvette Today, then you need to know about C8 Corvette. They're based in Atlantic City, where you can find over 100 new and pre-owned vets on the lot and inbound. C8 also ships Corvettes all over the country, custom ordered to your specifications. They're staffed with experienced pros who can answer all your questions. So don't compromise. Visit CiocaCorvette.com. That's CIOCCA Corvette.com and find out more. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. And a shout out to Canadian Corvette Forum and Corvette Forum, welcoming Corvette enthusiasts from around the world. All right, my friends, it's time to bring you the latest Corvette news and headlines with my pal Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. Keith is here with me every other week, and we keep you current and up to date on what's happening with America's sports car. Keith, welcome back to the show. What's going on, buddy?
Well, it's April 1st, and I have not yet fallen for any good pranks yet, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I've been on guard all day. I went to bed last night, put a Post-it note on my computer, so when I booted up first thing this morning, I said, "Don't fall for any jokes."
Good idea. I should have done that myself, but I'm okay. We got nothing going on here in Kansas City, so it's all good.
Excellent. Well, and I can't believe it's April either. I mean, that's the crazy thing.
Man, March just flew by, buddy, and that's all right.
Yeah.
We got lots of news coming up here, don't we?
Yes, we do. Let's get to it.
Yes, let's do it. Let's start with a production update at Bowling Green Assembly Plant.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So as of Wednesday of last week, we are seeing the 2024 model year production standing at 23,006 units combined. That's all three models, but 23,000 already. That's a good, healthy number for the model year, and we still got some months to go out. Looking at the Stingrays, we started the month of March at VIN number 15,126.
Wow.
And as of Wednesday of last week, we ended at 17,888. During March, they built a total of 2,762 Stingrays. They're just cranking out these cars right now. For Z06, we started the month of March at VIN number 4,112. And then last week, we hit 4,906. So they built 794 Z06s in March. There might be a couple extra coming in. I think on Friday, they were off for Good Friday. So I think they worked up till Thursday. There's going to be 5,000 Z06s built for the model year sometime during this week. That's a great milestone. And it just shows that between last year's production totals and this year's production totals, we're well over 12,000 cars or so, maybe 11,000 cars. For a Z06, we think is, very low production. That's quite a bit of cars that are out there for that.
Yeah, that really is.
And then finally, the E-Ray, we're still in the ramp-up phase, and I know everybody's tired of it. We're kind of twiddling our thumbs and ready to go. To give you the March production totals, we started at number 134, and we ended at 212. So that's only 78 cars built for the month. Some insiders are saying that, everything's under control. Don't worry, nothing to panic here. But what we could really need from the E-Rays is to just take some of that production numbers away from the Stingrays. They've been building like 185 Stingrays, for example. If we could get that E-Ray to cut into that, because dealership lists for the Stingrays, they're mostly exhausted.
Right.
We're hearing that some smaller dealers now are rejecting additional allocations because they have cars on the lot. And meanwhile, dealer stock inventory are really growing. We saw some numbers. I think Les Stanford had close to 40-some cars on the lot ready to go that are brand new 2024 Corvette Stingrays. There's some great opportunities for buying out there. 23,000 cars for the model year, and everyone seems to be doing good. We just need that E-Ray to start popping up, but I think it's going to happen pretty soon.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, Keith, we had a big story. There's a lot of controversy on this. GM started a program where they were sharing customer driving data with insurance agencies, but that got ex-nayed and everything is off the line now, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's amazing how fast this came into the public's eye and then how quickly GM reacted to it. Probably one of the biggest stories we've had for the year. It all started with multiple articles coming from the New York Times, of all places. GM's OnStar was being used to track the driving habits of owners, and many owners didn't realize their cars were spying on them. We know that the cars had black boxes. We know police use them to determine how fast somebody was going before a crash. We know that GM uses them to determine were you doing something you shouldn't have to void your warranty. So we know that they do stuff like that, but we didn't think that they would really sell out their customers for additional revenue. This is a program that supposedly netted them. They won't give us a figure. They just say it's in the low millions. But the program was called Smart Driver, and it required consent, but many people don't ever remember giving consent. We know that a lot of times when you get a new car, they want you to punch that OnStar button to activate the service. It just kind of snowballed from there. So the New York Times shared a story from first the Chevy Bolt owner whose insurance coverage went up dramatically, as did quotes from other companies when he started looking around. Finally, he had an insurance agent say, hey, you got a LexisNexis data report on you. And when he requested a copy of it, he was shocked to find 258 pages that covered daily driving habits over the last 6 months.
Wow.
And that underlying data was provided to LexisNexis by General Motors. So what they do is they create a risk score and then provided that data to insurance companies who used it for determining insurance coverage. When we first heard the story, we're like, hey, man, you better go check your My Chevrolet app and see if it's in there. And of course, sure enough, people were saying, yeah, I was signed up for it. And you had to jump through all these hoops. There's like 3 different areas you had to opt out to make sure that you weren't signed up for it. But right after that first article came out, then another one came out that said a Cadillac owner was suing GM after his driving habits led to his insurance, I think, being canceled. And then he couldn't get it for like 7 different companies because his LexisNexis report showed speeding, hard braking, acceleration, all the things that make driving a performance car fun. Once that lawsuit hit the news, GM came out with a statement just a couple days later saying they are ending the data sharing program because they want to, quote, protect their customers' information, and customers were coming with torches and pitchforks. I think GM made the right decision there. I understand also for those concerned that these driving reports might be out there at LexisNexis, there is a process that you can go to them and request your file and then request them to not share it. It's some more hoops to jump through, but if it's something you're concerned about, like if you were on your My Chevrolet app and you saw that you were signed up for this program, you might want to go directly to LexisNexis and see if you can get them to suppress that information from being shared out there, which I think I did see some people on Facebook saying that they were able to do it, but it took calling, it took some emails to get it done. When we buy a car, we're giving them our hard-earned money, right? And we expect that they treat us fairly. And I'm glad that GM reversed course on it.
Me too. That's a good thing. It was a sticky situation. It looks like it all has a happy ending. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of GM, they issued a TechLink article. If you have a hardtop convertible C8 with a leaky roof, they've got something to fix it, don't they?
Yeah, now this is not like a recall or anything like that. This is just, as cars come in, they start to see trends. And one of the trends they've seen on the 2020 through 2024 Corvette convertibles is that occasionally there might be some water leaks on the side glass windows. The leak, they say, is about the middle to the rear of the side glass. And a lot of times it can be noticed with water like getting inside the car when it's exposed like a high pressure car wash. They say that the side glass leak might leak due to variations in the sealing between the roof panel seals. So what they'll do is they'll put like a special piece of foam in there and make sure it's all kind of sealed up better. And the TechLink article is for service technical people to know how to fix it. No real idea how many cars may be suffering from this, but hardtop convertible sales are around 48% of all Corvettes. So it could be a high number, but again, it's just how you care for your car. Those people that are hand washing their cars probably will never have this issue, but it sounds like if you're using some high pressure water, that's where it might be getting up into the seal itself and then underneath it. Again, something to consider if you are using a pressure washer to wash your car, going to the car washes, take some care around any of the rubber seals anyways, because you don't want to force that back and let that water in there. Glad to see that they're being proactive on this.
Definitely. Our final story in the news section, Keith, the NCM Motorsports Park has added to their fleet its 2 new E-Rays. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a couple of the people from the Motorsports Park, they actually drove up to Detroit and then drove these cars back, and they stopped at a couple of different shows along the way and made it a nice little event for them. The good news is that if you're interested in E-Ray, you can go now book some track time at the Motorsports Park in Bowling Green. They'll give you some lead follow touring laps, and then you can also ride with a professional driver who does like the heavy accelerated launches and hot laps in the car. One of the interesting things is the reasons why, with only a couple hundred Corvette E-Rays built, one of the reasons why they got them is because there's actually doing training right now at the Motorsports Park where sales reps are coming in from all across the country. They're being trained on the E-Ray and Z06. So there's a combination of like classroom instruction. They'll do some on-track activities, and the dealers are paying like $3,600 to send one rep to Bowling Green for this. I actually talked to a rep that was there this week. He said it was a great time. They learned a whole lot about the cars. They did classroom instruction, learning about the features and that kind of thing. And then also just being in the car and being to experience it for that first time. It's pretty eye-opening with the E-Ray.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, buddy, it's time for our first break. Coming up next is Corvette Racing and Corvette Rumors here on Corvette Today.
We all know that wheels make the car. Wheelcraft's PVD chrome finish in bright chrome or black chrome will take your Corvette to new levels. And it comes with a 5-year warranty. Durability is a defining feature of the Wheelcraft finish. Their PVD chrome is superior to traditional chrome with a finish that is brake dust resistant and cleans effortlessly with soap and water. Wheelcraft offers factory wheel exchange for select C4 through C8 models, or they can apply the PVD finish to your current wheels. No matter what generation you own, Wheelcraft will transform the look of your Corvette. With every Corvette comes a unique story, and Wheelcraft has embraced this idea. When you purchase your new set of wheels, you receive a lifetime membership to the Wheelcraft Pit Crew, granting you access to your own page on Wheelcraft's website, where you can post pictures and tell your Corvette story. Visit our website at wheelcraft.com or call 833-639-4231. Arrive in style with Wheelcraft.
The Radiator Grill Store offers C8 Corvette A-pillar wind diffusers in beautiful carbon fiber or OEM gloss black that help reduce wind buffeting when a window is open. Easy installation and OEM fitment. Plus, get 10% off your total purchase with the promo code CT10 at radiatorgrillstore.com.
When you want to buy a Corvette, or any Chevrolet for that matter, get yours from Hendrick Chevrolet Shawnee Mission, located in Kansas City. Hendrick Chevrolet is the largest Corvette dealership and showroom in the Midwest. With a knowledgeable sales staff and Corvette sales specialists on hand, they'll help you build the Corvette of your dreams, and they ship nationwide. With Corvette certified master mechanics on site and a huge parts department with over 24,000 parts and $2 million in inventory, Hendrick Chevrolet is well equipped to take care of your every need. From sales to service to collision repair, Hendrick Chevrolet has you covered. Visit ChevyUSA.com or call 913-384-1550.
You're listening and watching Corvette Today with Steve Garrett.
Thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. It's the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best, don't you? Well, dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty, too. Visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call, 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me is Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. Every other week, we keep you current and up to date on what's happening with America's sports car. In segment number 2, we always cover Corvette racing and Corvette rumors. Let's start with racing first, Keith, and review the 12 hours at Sebring.
Yeah, we're still kind of doing some teething issues with these new race cars, but there's some good stuff that's happening. It's kind of a mixed bag for both. One of the things that started right away is, we ran some good qualifying laps at Sebring, but then, at the beginning of the race, all 4 Corvettes were moved to the very back of the pack because they were found to have some non-homologated parts on them. The team's still trying to figure this out and do some things, but IMSA's watching, I guess. For Corvette racing, we'll start there first. It was really a mixed result, and it was a what could have been moment. The number 3 Corvette Z06 was right there. It had the pace. It was in contention for a podium finish. Probably would have finished 3rd within the last 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden they were knocked off the course by that green number 77 Porsche 911 known as Rexy. That contact pushed the car right off the track. They ended up finishing 10th in class. The Porsche was given a drive-through penalty, so it did affect them as well. They ended up finishing 9th in class. But the point I'm trying to make is that we were there. We were there at the end. The problem is at the very end of Sebring, everybody's throwing elbows and doing whatever they can, and it's dark, and there's not a lot of camera angles on some of those dark corners at nighttime, and I think some people were taking some advantage of that. The number 4 Corvette, again, developed an issue with its electronics. They started trying to mess with it, and by the 6th hour of the race, halfway through, they just said, you know what, we need to bring it in. They replaced what they called our main relay, and then from there, it just turned into more of a testing and diagnostic session for them, while I also see if they could help out the sister car. Not all was good with the number 3 car. They lost their AC compressor in the middle of the race, and that was a hot day. So those cars were running without air conditioning in the cockpit, where temperatures were like 120 degrees. The number 3 car persevered. In GTD, the AWA Racing number 13, this is the yellow and black car. It actually finished 9th in class. It was on the lead lap and mostly ran a trouble-free race. So that is very good news. We're glad to hear that. However, the 2nd Corvette for AWA once again had electrical issues, and it retired very early in the race. I want to say it was out within the first 1 or 2 hours of the race. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get a chance. That's the green one, or the teal car with the red stripe on it. Our next conversation is also about that car. But the next race for the IMSA Corvettes, Long Beach on April 19th and 20th. And then also that weekend, that's going to be a great race weekend because we'll also have the World Endurance Championship over in Italy on April 21st. Lots of racing happening in April that weekend. That's, I guess, the weekend before the Bash. I'm glad that it won't be the weekend of the Bash.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, and I was going to ask you about AWA Racing. They're down to 1 Corvette now, aren't they? What happened there?
Yeah, so just to take you back a little bit, AWA Racing was handpicked by GM Racing to field the 2 new Corvette Z06s in the GTD class in IMSA. At Daytona, both cars failed to finish, and then at Sebring, obviously the number 13 car did well, but it was the 17 car that dropped out very early. What had happened, I guess, behind the scenes is this led to a division of the AWA team, as one of the team's members, Anthony Mantella, has, quote, elected to step away from the GT program at this time. That was the statement that AWA Racing put out. In GTD class, you generally have a gentleman driver who's a bronze rated driver, and then you have your higher rated drivers and your professional drivers that are also paired with them, but generally it's the gentleman driver that's paying the bills, so to speak. Anthony Mantella is the owner of the number 17 Z06 race car, and after Sebring, he says he's putting the car up for sale, and I guess he's walking away according to the statement.
Yikes.
On Instagram, he says, IMSA spec GTD Corvette race car for sale, used very infrequently, hasn't finished a race, perfect for the collector who wants the latest iron from Pratt & Miller Corvette Racing. Not a perfect race car, but unobtainium to the public. All the racing websites jumped on this and were saying, what's going on here? Thankfully, the fans, they really kind of lit him up for basically taking his race car and going home.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the old joke, Steve, if you want to make a little money in racing, you better start with a lot. We'll really keep an eye on this situation, but it looks like AWA Racing is just going to have the 1 car now for the rest of the season, and that really kind of threw a crimp into GM Racing's background of wanting to put 2 cars in GTD, 2 cars in the GTD Pro class over here, now only down to 1. What happens now is that car doesn't get developed anymore. If it's just sitting there, it's not getting the updates and upgrades that the other cars are getting when they're finding out, oh, this needs to be changed because we found this or that. Again, a bad situation, not good for AWA Racing or GM Racing. We'll just have to see what happens with this car. But, if you have $750,000 laying around, that's reportedly what these race cars were selling for, meaning the teams had to put that money up. But there's also all the equipment, the training, and all the other expenses that were incurred. So he might want a little bit more for it. Who knows? Yeah. Steve, my question, though, is if he sells the car, will the next owner of it lose the warranty? I mean, it's been within 6 months, right?
That's right. Yeah, he just raced the car once and he's going home.
There you go.
We'll have to see what happens with that. That'll be a developing story.
Yes, it will be.
Let's turn to rumors, Keith. We saw that maybe the new C8 ZR1 might have some carbon fiber wheels like the Z06, didn't we?
We don't really have any real spec yet on the ZR1. We've been watching the cars whenever they're out in public. They were at the Nürburgring last October for 2 weeks, and during that time, they were only wearing their alloy wheels. They were not wearing carbon fiber wheels at all when they were over there, unlike the Z06s and even the E-Rays had the carbon fiber wheels. That led us to wonder, really, is the ZR1 going to a larger wheel size or a different design? But then there was a press release that came out from Carbon Revolution touting the E-Ray, which is also being able to order with the visible carbon fiber wheels, the same wheels as the Z06. And the quote from the president of the company said the following: General Motors Corvette Z06 and ZR1 have been some of Carbon Revolution's most successful high-volume programs. We expect that given the recent performance awards for the E-Ray, this program will continue the trend of success. We're thinking that his mentioning the ZR1, the statement, means that, yeah, the car will have carbon fiber wheels. It was a Freudian slip. He was talking about Z06 and E-Ray, but he did say ZR1, and this is something that we watch because these are breadcrumbs that are dropped, right?
Sure.
We don't know if they're going to be the same wheels of the Z06 and the E-Ray, if they're different. However, after we shared the rumor, the press release was suddenly updated to remove ZR1 from that statement. People sort of laughed at us, but it's these minor details that a lot of times gives the glimpse behind the curtain of what's happening. We're waiting to see what happens, but we have no word at all when the ZR1 will be revealed to the public, although we still really kind of feel it might be a 2025 model that'll come in the middle of the model year and not launched at the beginning of the model year.
Boy, I'd love to see that car, especially if it was at the Bash. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Keith, we saw the first 2025 Z06. It was spotted in the Bowling Green Assembly Plant parking lot, and it didn't look like we had any changes to the Great Wall of Buttons either.
Yeah, that was something we've talked about several times here. The interior change for 2025 appears to be dead. There were signs that were kind of pointing that way, a lot of conversations behind the scenes. But yeah, we just got our first glimpse of a 2025 Corvette Z06. It's a captured test fleet car. So this is a saleable VIN, meaning that after GM is done testing it, they can then sell it off to one of their dealers as a pre-owned car. The funny thing about this rumor is that when you talk to C8 owners, they really tend to like the Great Wall of Buttons. And I think that most people actually still prefer having physical buttons over the use of touch screens, but that's where the industry is going. In fact, there was a GM Authority article that talked about a couple future other GM vehicles that were moving physical buttons and putting them on touch screens only. And of course, Tesla does that.
Right.
A lot of the EVs seem to be all touch screeny as opposed to having the physical buttons. This is a rumor I don't think is going to go away. Maybe it jumped the gun a little bit early, so we could be off by a year or two. Maybe it's something that when they come out, if they end up doing a mid-cycle refresh, we've seen that over the years where like C6, for example, 2008, they come out with the LS3, more power. In 2012, they came out with a new interior seats, even though it was 2 years before the end of the model year. They are not going to make changes if they don't think they need to. It's something that might still be there, but again, not for 2025, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel about it.
I like the Great Wall of Buttons. I don't have any problem with it whatsoever.
Yeah, mostly people are saying, oh, yeah, you can't hold hands with your significant other. But there's times for that elsewhere.
Our final rumor, Keith, E-Ray owners, make sure you check your high battery system coolant reservoir caps. What is all that about?
So a new E-Ray owner was checking under the hood, and he was looking at all the different fluids and stuff on his car. He had the HTC, so he pulled back the rubber flap and found that the cap for the high voltage battery system coolant reservoir, he found that that cap was loose and vibrating. He was able just to pick it up off the car. So probably that rubber flap was keeping it on, but he said, check your fluids with the car running. He said it was just vibrating and doing its thing. So he tightened it down, and then he's like, oh man, I forgot to even look and see if there was any coolant in there. Then he couldn't get it off because if you check the owner's manual, this is not something that's designed to be filled or checked or anything by you and me. This is a dealership thing. There is a trick to do it. You use a screwdriver, there's a little tab, and you just got to put it down in there and spin it, and then it'll eventually come off. But he actually then called another E-Ray owner and said, hey, man, my cap was loose. Will you check yours? And the other guy checked his, and his cap was loose as well. So we actually checked with another E-Ray owner. Their cap was fine, no issues there. Again, just one of those things. We don't know if this is something that happened at the plant, if it's something that happened at the dealership during PDI. When you get a new car, it's always good to give your own once over. Check your own fluids, make sure caps are sealed and that kind of thing.
For sure. Very interesting. All right, buddy. Well, let's take our final break. When we come back, the lighter side of Corvette is on deck next, here at Corvette Today.
Are you ready for a better insurance policy without the Corvette tax? With Agreed Value Protection, the value of your collector vehicle will never change. Plus, you'll save money. Get a quick quote at ncminsurance.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
VetFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25. And every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada, and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
This is the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks once again for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best? Dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty. So visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call, 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me is Keith Cornett from CorvetteBlogger.com. If you want a deeper dive into any of the stories Keith and I cover, you can always go to CorvetteBlogger.com. In this final segment, we always talk about the lighter side of Corvette. Keith, this story isn't lighter. This is really, really groundbreaking. Motortrend magazine named the Corvette as the most iconic car in the past 75 years. Wow.
Yeah, was there really any doubt? In my opinion, I don't think so. This was something that was pretty cool. So Motortrend readers, largely American, they love Jeeps, Mustangs, and Ford F-150s, but the Corvette has been America's sports car for nearly as long as Motortrend has been a publication. This was actually an online reader's vote. According to Motortrend, the results were overwhelming. Pretty cool stuff. I saw Harlan Charles put up a thing on his Facebook page about this, and I know a lot of other Corvette websites were all touting this great honor. You think of the Motortrend Car of the Year, that's one of the biggest honors an automaker can receive. How about Motortrend's car of the last 75 years? That supersedes all the other ones, doesn't it? They're not looking at just one model. They're looking at the whole evolution of the car from the 1953 model all the way up through last year's model.
Right.
Really great honor again. The Corvette is America's favorite sports car, and we're glad to be driving it.
Absolutely. Also, there is a video, a tire comparison video between the C8 Z06 tires and the E-Ray tires.
Yeah, this is a new E-Ray owner. He has a YouTube channel. He had a Stingray previously. He already owns a Z06. And then he said he took delivery of a 2024 E-Ray for his wife. He already had the car up on jacks and was replacing the muffler. He's putting on a Hooker Blackheart exhaust system, I believe he said. He had all 3 wide-body tires lined up in his garage. He had the Michelin Cup 2Rs from his Z06. He had the Pilot Sport 4Ss from his Z06. And then the Pilot Sport All Seasons from the E-Ray. With all of them lined up, they're all the same size. Corvettes had the 275s up front, the 345s in the rear, but that's really about where the similarities end. Each tire has its own purpose, and it's still surprising when you see there's basically no tread at all on the Cup 2Rs. Even the Pilot Sport 4Ss, they're really light, but then you see the tread pattern from the all-season tires, and you're thinking, wow, man, the grip, the idea that you can drive those in the rain and the snow is pretty cool. Of the all-season tire, he says he's driven with them on. He says they're really good. Michelin tells us that on the skid pad, the difference between the all-seasons and the 4S tires are just 0.1 G. And any casual driver is not going to notice that. That's why with the E-Ray, you can upgrade to the Zur package and get the 4S tires, but the all-seasons are just so good. I don't know why you wouldn't just continue to stick with them unless you were really actually doing some track events or things like that.
Yeah.
This wasn't really a performance test. It was just line them up all three, looking at the similarities and differences of it. They're actually really quite different, so it was pretty cool. Nice little video to see. And this same owner, he did another video where he was just driving around, putting miles on the car. He had a little over 200 break-in miles so far, and was just talking about some of his impressions of it. But apparently he likes it. We need to get these cars out there, broken in, and then get them on the tracks and do some fun things with them and see how they really do compare.
Someone give me an E-Ray. I'll get some miles on it for him. That's for sure.
I know there's a couple at the NCM Motorsports Park.
Yes, there is. And we also had an oops moment, buddy. There was a 2024 Z06 that actually got Stingray door sills instead of the Z06 door sills.
Yeah, it was actually just one. It was on the passenger side. So imagine you got your car, you're out there working on it, you're doing some things, you open up the door and you're like, what happened here? I always find these mix-ups to be a little bit fun over the years. It's just a little bit of levity in the process. Generally, it's easily correctable. Some of the things we've seen in the year, we had a guy get a two-tone boomerang early in C8 production. We know a guy that got two different styles of seats. And then there was a guy, I think just last year, he picked up a Z06 and it had a Stingray emblem on the rear deck of the car. And the funny thing is he's doing the delivery of the car. He's got to pull the white transport wrapper off. They're walking around it. Never even did pick it up until afterwards he gets home and starts seeing reports of, man, my car is looking a little unique here.
Yeah.
One of the things we like to ask is this a factory error that you would correct? With the door sill, you'd never see it. We ran a poll on it. Our readers say it's a Z06 and the sill plates need to say Z06. So kind of overwhelmingly 60-40, people say change the plate.
Yeah.
Something fun that happens. This doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it's pretty rare that we find errors like this. So when it does come up, like I said, it's kind of a fun moment for everybody.
And maybe that's why this story is in the lighter side of Corvette Today.
There you go.
Yes. Also, Corvette was named as one of the top 20 vehicles that's better to buy new rather than to buy used.
So this is a study. It comes from IC Cars. They've done these studies over the years. They've always got a monthly study out. But this one, they look at the prices of 1.6 million new and lightly used cars, and then they break it all down and determine whether you're better off to buy new or used with that car. With the Corvette, they found that pre-owned Corvettes, these are 2022s and 2023s, they only show a price difference of around 8.4% off of the new cars from 2023 and 2024. So you're talking about maybe $7,000 difference buying used over new. With the average price of the Corvette being $76,000, it does appear to make a lot of sense to just go ahead and buy the new car versus the used car because the savings still aren't all that great.
Right.
We ranked out of the top 20. We were, I believe, number 17 there.
Okay.
Everybody would love to have a new car, but some people are like, I'm just going to take the pre-owned, and you already remove some of that depreciation from your bottom line already. So for some people, it does make sense to buy used regardless. Again, it's just interesting to see the study done and those numbers presented to you.
Yeah, definitely. Our final story, Keith, and this is so timely because last week's episode on Corvette Today was celebrating the 50 years of Lingenfelter Performance Engineering. Well, we found out that Lingenfelter is supercharging an E-Ray now.
Yeah, so think about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we had a video of the first E-Ray on the dyno. It was kind of shocking because it ran up to 573 wheel horsepower, but the torque levels were off the charts, 630 foot-pounds of torque on there. It seemed to be higher than what we'd be estimating. You take that 15% loss of power at the wheels. Paragon Performance actually did the dyno. They had a special dyno hooked up where they could measure both the front and the rear wheels. So that's how they got those numbers. But as soon as they were done with that car, they did some other things on it, some dress-up parts and things like that. But then they shipped the car up to Lingenfelter Performance Engineering, who then put one of their Magnuson superchargers on it. From Lingenfelter, following on their Instagram, we see they took the engine out, they were doing some work on it, engine goes back in, and then we get the test drive. And during that test drive, you can actually hear the supercharger whine behind you, while on the front wheels, you kind of hear that electronic motor whine unique to the E-Rays. It's really a sound that sounds one like none, to use the Corvette team's terms, one like none. We have no details yet on any power gains. I'm expecting it to be fairly significant, but the good news is, as they were doing the test drive, the guy from Lingenfelder was saying the front wheels and the rear wheels, they're independently controlled, but they're playing very nicely together with the additional power from the supercharger. Very anxious to see what kind of power a supercharger will add to this and where that E-Ray will end up at. But pretty cool, and congratulations to this new owner who's got a very unique car.
Yeah, absolutely right. We'll have to get Ken Lingenfelter back on the show and find out what the final performance numbers are and the horsepower and torque. That'd be really interesting to find out.
It would be, and something tells me you've got his phone number on speed dial, so let's get that going.
I think I do, buddy. That's right. Well, Keith, thanks for being back on Corvette Today, buddy. Our next show in 2 weeks, we'll start year number 5 for Corvette Today.
Amazing stats, Steve. Thanks for having me here. Great times, everybody. If you're out there, keep waving to each other, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today, and be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today show. And thanks to our sponsors, Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com to learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-639-4231. Soul Performance Products at SOULPP.com, the official performance exhaust of Corvette Today. Ciocca Corvette at CIOCCA Corvette.com. True Wealth and Company at retirewithtrue.com. Also, Aerolarri Wheels. Get $100 off your purchase with the new promo code CT111 at aerolarri.com. C8 Rally Driver at C8RallyDriver.com. And Hendrick Chevrolet in Kansas City at ChevyUSA.com.
Thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. If you'd like to contact Steve with ideas for Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Also, sign up for email notifications at corvettetoday.ck.page. Follow Steve and the show on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Threads at Steve Garrett DJ. Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today.